Slay, are you in for some fun today? So in my last video, I reviewed all 10 of the Swan Princess movies. It was a trip and you definitely need to check out that video. But in that video, I talk about how basically the Swan Princess is a Disney knockoff, right? It has the princess, it has the prince, it has the songs, it has the 2D animation, right? It's very obvious that they were trying to capitalize on Disney's success. Well, it turns out a lot of studios have been trying to capitalize on Disney's success over the years. And so in that video, I said, hey, it'd be really funny if I reviewed all of those Disney knockoff films and you guys were actually really into it. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about every single one of those cheap Disney knockoffs, also known as mockbusters. Mockbuster is basically it's a portmanteau of the words mock and blockbuster. You put them together and you got mockbuster. And these movies basically try to capitalize on the success of an existing franchise. So one studio paves the way and then this studio comes in and they're just drifting in the wake, just collecting a little bit of money here and there. And so a lot of times with these movies, they're able to get away with it because a lot of the Disney films are based on public domain fairy tales.
So yeah, we can just do our own version of that fairy tale. It's okay if that version happens to look exactly like yours, have the same characters as yours, have the exact same coloring as yours, but no, it's totally different.
So in this video, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be comparing the covers of all of these different films because the whole point of the covers of these DVD releases or VHS back in the day, they really don't want you to realize that you're not picking up the original Aladdin, but the knockoff version of Aladdin. The covers are very, very similar with some exceptions. All right, so let's dive into this ultimate guide of animated mockbusters. I actually got this list from Cartoon Brew. I'll include a link in the description so you can check it out. But there are a few other ones which I found also on the internet. These things are all over the place. So I'm gonna be talking about these films in the order that the knockoff was released, not necessarily the order that the original was released. So these really became big in the 90s when the VHS market was exploding. I'm just gonna point to the success of Return of Jafar because that movie is horrible but raked in mountains of cash. So yeah, the VHS era in the early 90s was big, so these films definitely tried to capitalize on that. So the very first one on the list is Beauty and the Beast. This Beauty and the Beast has a noted exception where this princess is blonde. If one of the princesses has a very distinct color hair, the way that they will get around it is they'll just change her hair color. And they're really playing up on the rose thing because that's the big part of the film, and so she has roses in her hair. The Beauty and the Beast logo is very similar to the Beauty and the Beast logo that appears on the title sequence at the beginning of the movie where it's that really scripty font. So they're definitely playing on that. This movie was created by Golden Films, and there actually are a few bad apples, bad actors in this industry. Golden Films is a studio under Good Times Entertainment, so good times indeed. We're
just copying someone else's work and we're raking in the dough.
But what we're gonna see as we're going through each one of these is that these studios come in phases. So they'll have a few years of success and then they'll just die out. They'll probably just file bankruptcy. And then another copycat comes in, does the same thing, rides the wave for a little while, and then just falls off the face of the earth, probably filed bankruptcy. So you can see this is probably not a good business model. You might get some short-term profits, but in the long run, is this really what you want to be known for? Next up, The Little Mermaid. This was also released in 1992 by Golden Films. So you can see these Disney Renaissance films were just exploding in the early 90s, and so this studio was like,
we gotta get in on that.
So this Little Mermaid, the title treatments look very, very similar, but Ariel is very much known for her red hair, her purple seashells, and her green fin. You can't have that because that would be way, way, way too close. So they did what they always do. And then she just has blue seashells, blue fin, because that's very nondescript, very water. And yeah, you know, she has a dolphin friend instead of flounder. So we made enough changes here that we are just going off the Hans Christian Andersen tale, The Little Mermaid, not yours. I mean, that's a total coincidence. Next up is Pinocchio. This again is another Golden Films production released in 1992. This Pinocchio looks very, very similar to the real Pinocchio. They just did a few little shifts here. It's like they took the paint bucket tool in Photoshop and they're like,
you have a yellow hat? No, it's a red hat now. Red overalls? No, you need blue overalls. Big dopey feet? Well, we can't do anything about that. You still have big dopey feet.
The character design is obviously a total knockoff, but one of my favorite things about these is they put this under the banner of collectible classics because Disney had different labels for each one of its releases. There was the Disney Classics label and there was the Black Diamond Disney Classics. So they're really trying to copy Disney's branding and marketing that they used at the time. I know looking at these, you're like, how could anyone fall for this? These are so bad. And this one's actually pretty good. Some of these other ones are really, really bad. But I just imagine that there was a frazzled mom of three in the grocery store who just wanted to get out of there. Her kids were pulling things in the cart and they said, Mom, can we have this?
and she says, yeah, sure, whatever.
Not realizing what she picked up. Being a mama 3, I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. All right, the year is 1993 and Golden Films is back at it again, this time with Aladdin, 1 year after the release of Disney's Aladdin. So some notable changes with this Aladdin, specifically the genie. The genie here is golden, like the lamp, instead of the iconic blue of the Robin Williams genie. And instead of having a beard with that little curly Q, they flip it and this guy has a big old mustache, but he still has that little curly Q, his signature piece. He has the same hair on his head, and even Aladdin looks very much like Disney's Aladdin. They just threw a shirt on him for a little bit more modesty. Probably better sun protection in the hot Agrabah heat, but other than that, this is, yeah, it's kind of a knockoff. Even look at the building in the background. That is totally Sultan's Palace. Next up is Cinderella. This time it's with Jetlag Productions. This came out in 1993. Obviously, Cinderella came out in the 50s. But yeah, this Cinderella looks a whole lot more like Belle with the brunette. She has the rose in her hair, but she does have the big ball gown. Again, it's a mix of blue and white, but hey, Cinderella, Cinderella. Next up is Leo the Lion, King of the Jungle, which is an obvious ripoff of The Lion King, which may be a ripoff of Kimba the White Lion. Just saying. This is another Jetlag Productions. It came out the exact same year as The Lion King, so you can see now they are getting faster with these things. Where before it usually took them about a year or so to get a film out there, but now they knew what was on Disney's docket. That was announced, that was well known. So as soon as the title was announced and the general gist of what this film was gonna be about, they just went to town and started animating something, right? And while this one isn't called The Lion King, because The Lion King is not public domain, they still have a little essence of the king by actually having the lion wear a crown. So in case you missed it and you didn't catch the reference, he's a lion and a king. You get it? Next up is Pocahontas. Now this is interesting because this one came out in 1994, whereas Disney's Pocahontas came out in 1995. Jetlag Productions once again, so they're really getting ahead of the curve. They say, okay, we know what happens in Pocahontas, kind of. I mean, history after all. That definitely is public domain, and so they just went at it. As far as character designs, they could do whatever they wanted. They didn't have to change the hair color to make it different than Disney's version because this was a historical character. She was a Native American. We more or less probably knew what she looked like. Now in this one, they seem to have aged Pocahontas down a little bit, which is probably more true to the story because Pocahontas was supposedly 13-ish when the Virginia Company came around, opposed to a very beautiful, athletic 18 to 20-year-old that we see in the Disney film. But wait, a new opponent has entered the ring. We have another Pocahontas film. This one, it's Young Pocahontas. This one also came out in 1994, so before Disney's version, which I believe Disney's came out in November of 1995. So these ones came out at least a year prior to the release of Pocahontas. This one seems to feel a little bit more like the Pocahontas we know. They're showing her with lots of animal friends, very much like Snow White. The studio for this one was Illumination, not Illumination, but like allure. Illumination Filmworks. We'll see how long they stick around. They are definitely yet another one of the competitors on the scene to get a slice of this knockoff pie. Okay, so next up is Alice in Wonderland. This is a 1995 Jetlag Productions, which was distributed by Good Times Entertainment. So it seems that Golden Films just went away. Something happened to them. Alice in Wonderland, I mean, this is public domain at this point. This is the Lewis Carroll's novel. We knew that she was blonde and we know all the main characters. So these are very, very similar, and I could definitely see how someone would be very confused or easily duped into buying this one versus the other one. Oh, and another thing I didn't mention about these that probably helped a lot of these films do really well as far as VHS sales was the fact that the Disney Vault existed. So Disney would claw back their films for a period of time and you wouldn't be able to purchase them. So if I wanted to purchase Alice in Wonderland and I was just an unknowing consumer who didn't know about the Disney Vault, I may have seen this and just thought, okay, that looks a little weird, but hey, it's Alice in Wonderland, let's buy it. It's close enough that it definitely probably tricked a lot of people, especially when some of these classics were in the vault. All right, next up is The Jungle Book, another Jetlag Productions, Good Times Entertainment. This one very much looks like Disney's Jungle Book. This came out in 1995. Again, they were starting to bust these out very, very, very quickly, and they were going into Disney's back catalog to capitalize on those. This one, Mowgli looks nearly the same. He's wearing the little Speedo thing. His is just slightly different color. It's not red, it's kind of like a a brownish red. Baloo the bear is just a brown bear in this one, and Bagheera obviously is a Black Panther. 1995 brought us Sleeping Beauty. Again, it is Jetlag Productions. They are back at it again, those scoundrels. But this one is not so much of a knockoff. They didn't really even try to capture some of the things that make the Disney's version Disney. This Aurora is a brunette. She is wearing a pink dress, which at times Aurora does wear a pink dress. Personally, I'm Team Blue, but you let me know in the comments below. Team Blue, Team Pink. There's a prince and a white stallion, but other than that, it's just a really generic princess film that I don't really see being too confusing to the Disney one. But who knows? I'm sure this one made like $10 million. Yet another one in 1995. These were coming back to back to back to back. We have Snow White. Now, Snow White is Snow White, and very particularly in her fairy tale, they call out what she looks like. Her hair is black, her skin is white as snow, her lips are as red as a red rose. So with this one, they can get really close to Disney's design without fear of lawsuit. Personally, she looks more like an anime character than a Disney princess. The big trouble comes with the dwarves. The dwarves look a lot like the 7 dwarfs from the Disney's version. So here she's wearing a pink dress, where Snow White typically is in her primary colors. It's blue, red, yellow, right? So maybe they're just getting a little bit more comfortable being themselves and doing an original story. Yeah, probably not, but I tried. 1996 brings us the release of Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which also brings us the release of Jetlag Productions' The Hunchback of Notre Dame. There are a few differences in the character designs. Quasimodo particularly is looking extra bad. But this year, we didn't just get one hunchback. Just like Pocahontas, we get another. This is called The Secret of the Hunchback. Ooh. So they tried to mix it up a little bit with the title there. They didn't want to call it The Hunchback of Notre Dame, maybe because there already were 2 other films that year called The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And then they have this villain in the background who basically looks like Gaston with a beard, and he has this whip for some reason. So I'm not gonna lie, I want to see what happens there. I'm kind of interested. So 1997, we get Anastasia. So this is our first non-Disney film on the list. Though since Disney bought 20th Century Fox, I guess she is a Disney princess now. But whatever, this was pre-acquisition, so this is the first non-Disney. So these companies at this point, they're just moving away from Disney. There is lots of money to be made here. So this time we get The Secret of Anastasia. And this Anastasia looks really interesting. She definitely has some of the same elements that we know from Anastasia. She has sort of that reddish hair color. What I find really interesting about this one is there's some characters at the bottom that seem to be, I don't know, humans turned into inanimate objects, sort of like Beauty and the Beast. Is there some sort of curse that happened to these characters? Are they blending Beauty and the Beast and Anastasia and she's trapped in the castle? I don't know, but another one that I don't mind checking out. All right, 1998 brought us DreamWorks Animation's The Prince of Egypt. It's amazing. I love this film so much. But it also brought us Illumination Filmworks. It brought us their film, Moses, Egypt's Great Prince. You see what they did there? They couldn't call it The Prince of Egypt, but they tried to stack all of those different keywords in there as much as possible. So yes, this is a Moses film, but we really want to Egypt's Great Prince. So here's Mulan, and we get The Secret of Mulan. So Illumination, and I keep wanting to say Illumination Entertainment. It's Illumination Filmworks. They like to call theirs The Secret of. So instead of Mulan, it's The Secret of Mulan, or The Secret of the Hunchback. I guess it's a little more intriguing. It's like, ooh, what is the secret? Give me the sauce. That's a lame joke. Is it just me, or does Mulan have 6 legs? Is she a bug? Yeah, this is like a bug retelling of Mulan. Wow, that's the secret, huh? That is the secret. Next up is An Ant's Life, which is a portmanteau of A Bug's Life and ants together. Because this is a time in animation history where the 2 studios, Pixar and DreamWorks Animation, went head to head with their Bugs films, A Bug's Life and Ants. And so this studio's like,
we don't want to tackle 2 different bug movies, let's just combine them.
So we have An Ant's Life. Looks like this is the first one of our films to go into CGI, and I'm scared, very scared for my life. Next we have A Car's Life, because why not? That title worked for Ants, so let's do it for this. Apparently there were a bunch of these films that came out from 2006 to 2012, so it's definitely inspired by Cars and Cars 2, but that's about it. But let's be real, talking cars have been a thing for kids shows for a long time, but yes, it's definitely clearly a knockoff of Cars. Cars was a mega hit for Pixar, so it's no wonder that we got a knockoff, obviously, but now, like some of those other ones, there are other contenders coming into the ring. This time, it's a Brazilian company called Bideo Brincado? Hold on. Bideo, Brincado. Now, I don't speak Portuguese, I speak Spanish, and so I would say bideo, but this has an accent over the I, so it'd be bideo. Anyway, they're here. And ooh boy, here we are. 2007 brought us Ratatouille. For real, that's the name of it. Ratatouille, inspired by Ratatouille. A very blatant knockoff. I've never seen it, but I'm intrigued. They're doing the classic things to try and confuse you. They have the rat, he's wearing the chef hat, he's lifting the tray, it has cheese underneath it.
Ooh, this is a rat who likes to cook.
Now the animation looks horrible. I know I said before, like, wow, they stepped up, but that's because that other company's stuff was so, I'll say it again, scary and bad. This one, scary and bad compared to Pixar. If you see the Pixar poster right here, it's no contender. So I'm gonna pick up the pace here on these ones. I'm sure you're like, okay, I get it. They knock things off. They look the same. People got confused. Yeah, it's basically that over and over and over again. So we're just gonna go through these because I really want to get to Frozen. The Frozen drama with those knockoffs. Whew, those are good. So we have Kung Fu Panda and the Little Panda Fighter. That's a no-brainer there. There's also Chop Kick Panda and Friends, and this one really does look like Poe. They just straight up knocked off his design. They don't care at this point. And this one actually has 4 movies in one, so ooh. Then we have The Little Princess School, which isn't necessarily a knockoff of any particular movie. It's just knockoff of the princess franchise in general. And these designs, yes, I could definitely see how someone would see this and think, oh yeah, it's like Disney princesses, except for it's not. All right, robots, tiny robots, The Princess and the Frog, The Frog Prince. We have Shark Tale and Reef 2, High Tide. And we have Finding Dory and Izzy's Way Home. Bee Movie and Little Bee, Up, and What's Up? Balloon to the Rescue. Tangled and Tangled Up. Tangled Up? Tangled Up in what? Hair, I know. So this one is really interesting. This is actually a re-release of a film that was released in 1990. It was originally titled Britannica's Tales Around the World and just had a whole bunch of shorts of different fairy tales from around the world. So you can imagine how someone would see this Tangled Up video, they would buy it and they would be incredibly disappointed because instead of getting beautifully rendered Disney CGI princess film, they're getting, I don't know, I'm imagining it's really crappy 2D animation. So that one's extra shady. So we have Princess and the Frog and the Frog Princess, and to be honest, it's like this Frog Princess one kind of knocked off the earlier one. Those designs look closer together than they do to Tiana. We have Brave and Kiara the Brave. Ooh, yeah. She has red hair. She looks kind of Scottish. There's a castle. She has a crown. There's Puss in Boots and Puss in Boots A Furry Tale. Happy Feet and Tappy Toes, The Adventures of Scamper. Now, this is another one of those re-release sneaky films. The original film was from the 90s. It was called The Adventures of Scamper the Penguin. And with the success of Happy Feet, Penguins, hey, we already have a penguin movie. Let's just slap a new title, slap a new cover on it. Boom, off we go. This film is not CGI. Why are they tricking us this way? We have Madagascar 3 and Life's a Jungle, Africa's Most Wanted. And it's just me, or those are not African creatures. I mean, we got a dog. Yeah, I don't know what those are. We have Brave and Braver, because honestly, do you want brave or do you want braver? Obviously, you want braver. We have Planes and Wings. And they, yeah, nearly the same. Which brings us to Frozen. Now, the knockoff here is called Frozen Land, but this film was originally called The Legend of Sarila, and this is what led to some big publicity and lawsuits for this film because this film was released earlier. It's not even Hans Christian Andersen related. It has nothing to do with the Snow Queen and that story, but this company just straight up slapped a new logo on it, called it Frozen Land because,
hey, we're in the Arctic. It's a frozen land.
And called it a day. So in case you're wondering, you're like, I don't remember Huskies being in Frozen. Yeah, that's why. Now, there's another Frozen one called The Snow Queen. This was released in 2012, a whole year before Disney's in 2013. This one was actually a legit film. It was a CGI Russian film, and they started way back in 2009 developing this film. Obviously, it's much lower budget. It actually screened in Annecy, which is a famous film festival. At some point, they realized, oh crap, Disney is doing this Hans Christian Andersen Snow Queen tale as well. That sucks since they stopped production for a while, but they kept going. And the initial marketing and theatrical posters were totally different. So eventually they just dovetail into this knockoff realm. You know, if you can't beat them, join them. So the new titles and the new covers, they very much evoke, hey, this is a Disney Frozen knockoff, where it really wasn't. So those are the knockoffs. Do not make me watch those. I do not want to watch all of those. I'm not going to do a video where I'm watching all of those. I will not watch them. I did the Swan Princess movies, but I will not subject myself to this. Maybe if this video gets 25,000 likes, then I will. But until next time, that's all I got. Enjoy your knockoffs. They're really sneaky in how they design everything. That rogue light. Whoop. Kind of swapped. Pocahontas. Jungle. And ooh! Hey, if you can't beat them, wait, how does it go? If you can't...